She's got a smile.
I love it.
That's good.
Good to go, Mr. Wright?
Okay, thank you, sir.
6 p.m. I'm here, Tom's absent. Meg's here, Bob's here, Chuck's here, Rick's here, Jim's here. Good evening. What'd you say? Yes, he's absent. We are at the part of the meeting that we have public comment. If you want to come on up, and I know that you are planning on coming and speaking with us for a little bit, so feel free to join at the podium if you want.
Go to the podium?
And share some thoughts with us.
So,
You have 5 minutes.
Okay.
Go sit in one of those easy chairs.
Yeah,
Or you can sit up with us.
I was gonna say,
Come sit
that
with
would
us.
be a better invitation.
Or there's an easy chair
Take a
there,
lunch
there's 2
chair.
easy chairs, there you go.
Thank you for being so nice.
Our pleasure.
You're Michael.
Yes. Thank
So
you.
I got that nice letter from a human being I really like, this John Ruff, who is the engineer, especially in charge of waterworks for the city. We're the town.
Yep.
Anyway, the city has been putting off, I know, for 50 years, 49 and a half years, putting off repairing the dam that was built in the 1920s. And it's an impossible thing to pay for, to rebuild it. The thing that's happened in the past 50 years is the watershed, which would be trees galore on a vast area around a lovely little puddle of water, has been built up. Paved roads, paved driveways, 1-story houses, decks, swimming pools, cutting down the trees for a lawn. So that a great percentage, I do not know, because I don't hire a helicopter to measure it.
Sure.
The watershed is not there either, the way it used to be. So their thought is to drill into the aquifer. Do you know whether the city owns the water in that wonderful aquifer, or do we own it? Who owns it? So they want to drill on the property that I so love, to do some test drills to find out if maybe our property would be a nice place to actually have a real well. And there goes the aquifer. Anyway, there's a lot of wastage already in a lot, little people like me. If you drill into this artesian environment, there's always a little squirt that gets lost. You can't screw off once you make a hole. Okay. I don't know whether you guys care about this, but I understood last night from Tom Wood, he hadn't heard anything about it. And when they're trying, the city is trying to get you for money for the cogeneration plant. And they're trying to take your land for moving their electric, whatever it is, out to Ruger Street. Maybe knowing about this gives you some leverage back at them, and maybe you guys can find out about who owns the water, because they have about 368 acres they own. By the way, to find out where they want to drill, I've been wondering the past few weeks, how come so many helicopters are over my head? I'll bet they had some wonderful ground imaging cameras like we see on the TV when they're going to Egypt and find out they penetrate some kind of visualization underground. So anyway, a nice lady next to me, Pat Seguin, I don't know if there any of you know, great, isn't she great? They've also hit her. Okay, I know I've gone over 5 minutes.
The name
No.
is?
My name is Jean Dustin.
Jean Dustin.
I could be anybody,
Uh,
so it's not so important.
Public comment doesn't always elicit,
You don't have to do anything.
the need
just
to respond, but I do want to respond to your comment on this. Thank you.
Oh, you're
Thank
very
you,
welcome.
very,
Thank you.
very, very sincerely. You know, this is helpful in many levels.
I'll
And
tell
I
you.
think you hit the nail on the head,
Yeah,
as you identified
yeah.
some other problematic areas, plain and simple.
Listen, another thing is that Mead Pond Reservoir has been a home to geese galore, both the snow geese and the Canada geese, loons, and all kinds of furry beasties.
Part of the reason that we don't use subsurface water in the town of Plattsburgh.
That's awful good. Where, yeah, I'm guilty. I have the most, well, I did get water from Mead Pond, and then they found out how dirty it was. Unless it's, see, I don't have a water treatment plant,
Exactly.
so now I do get it out of the ground. I really could run on.
I may
They-
reach out to you,
Okay, do that,
in the coming days.
that's all good. And let's be all very nice to John Ruff. He's a wonderful person. I went last winter up all those steps to the city meeting with pictures of an overflow of Mead Pond Dam, because I knew it was on their agenda. What are we gonna do? They've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars studying the problem over the past 50 years, but they can't bring themselves to spring for millions and millions. I don't know how much it is. Anyway, I'll listen to you for a while now.
Thank you, Mrs. Dustin.
You have to clap.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank
Dustin.
you.
Oh, you're welcome. No, I'm.
Is there-
I look awfully pretty.
Anything else for?
Debbie, is there
Debbie,
anything for public
anything
comment this evening? Okay.
I'm
Is there anything for public comment this evening?
How could you follow that?
Couple of quick things. October 25th at 11:30 a.m. at Post 1619, we're going to be doing a small presentation of the signs that came in for the Purple Heart Towns. 1619 is then going to host a lunch for some veterans afterwards, so just as an FYI to them.
What time is that?
11:30, Post 1619. As we get a little bit closer, I'll try to give you some more details too. Robert Freeman. I know. October 2nd at 5 p.m. at Stafford. I just want to provide this for you, and I personally am strongly encouraging you all to go and to please share this widely with individuals. Robert Freeman is the Executive Director of the Committee on Open Government, and he will be presenting on the topic of open government in the theater of the Stafford Science and Technology Building on Tuesday, October 2nd, from approximately 5 to 6 p.m. This is the first presentation sponsored by the newly formed Center for Governance at Clinton Community College. The center is seeking to address three broad areas of local government: education and training, communication, engagement, and research. Both the former Assemblywoman Janet Dupree and I are on their advisory group. We're not the experts of all things. What we're trying to do is get them linked with some agencies and stuff so that they can bring some free opportunities. And we both thought that Mr. Freeman would be a really good person to help kick this off. It is beneficial, and I think it is critical for people to understand. Chuck and I were talking about this. It is not just town boards that could use this information. Citizens at large, this is a great person to hear from. The way that he does his presentations, people can ask questions and engage with him right there and then. We're talking about school boards, we're talking about the fire departments, we're talking about, zoning boards and planning boards and, all the different entities of government. So, please, I encourage you to spread this widely. And then in the future, I think they're gonna do some other, events and activities with other civic groups. So we'll see where it goes.
I just add one thing, he is not only, in addition to being very knowledgeable, very funny guy, so it's well worth going to.
Very musical. Just don't be offended if you ask a stupid question and he tells you it's stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, he will.
What don't you understand about no?
Yeah. You can do that once. So, seriously though, I just encourage you to please check it out yourselves. This is great, kind of continue education for us as elected officials, but also I think it's a great opportunity to help spread this information out there as well, so FYI. Professional services, I have been working on, and I will likely have a resolution before you folks next week, to hire some professional services to more accurately look at some salary calibrations, merit, stipends, etc. One of the things that we have found for a long time is the concept of the salaries with our employees has been overly politicized from one standpoint, and not really looking at things kind of in equal categories. I know that each of us have had some conversations over time. I worked with GOFA as one of the groups that Patrick has a membership in. I also talked with Paul Grasso to identify some consultants, got some responses back, and I'm going to be making a proposal to you folks coming up in the near future. It kind of in the same vein that we've done when we've hired special counsel for lawsuits with the city or elsewhere. Just an FYI there. I actually don't have a 4, 5, and 6, so we do have 2 items that I would like one need to do, and that is the tentative budget has been formally filed with Ricky's office today, and it will be going online first thing tomorrow too. So that will be there. Correct, Rick? Did you have it filed in your office?
Yep.
Okay, great.
It is.
Resolution 241, tentative budget filed for 2019.
Whereas the 2019 tentative budget for the town of Plattsburgh is duly filed in the town clerk's office. Now therefore be resolved that the town board, town of Plattsburgh, is hereby received and placed on file the 2019 tentative budget from the town clerk per town law, section 106.3. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to finance.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Hebert, is there a second?
Second.
Costick. I'll only add one thing for discussion, and that is October 13th. We will be having our Saturday budget meeting. Please make sure that it's in your calendar. And
8 to 4?
please, sit.
8 to 4?
It's slated to 8 to 4. Last year we got done. Yeah, it was between noon and 2 or something like that. So I don't expect it going to the full 4 o'clock. I do want to also thank our department heads in advance for making that arrangement. The schedule has gone out to them. There may be some slight modifications because a couple of them have kids and, you know, if they have sports and stuff, but they've usually been pretty good about that. And I do believe one of Scott's sons has his birthday that day, so we might have to sing happy birthday if your birthday. So, all right.
Full roll call?
Anything further? I'm gonna do
Okay.
full roll call. Can I get a roll call, Rick?
Thomas Smith, Peg LaFave,
Yes.
Marv Hebert.
Yes.
Charles Costick.
Yes.
Mike Cash.
Yes. Resolution passes. All right. Other stuff here. Resolution 242, proposed local law number 2 of the year 2018, solar energy local law.
Whereas the town has been studying the potential impacts of solar energy facilities, and whereas the town board received a draft of the local law and recommendations for adopting of local law regulating the setting, construction, operation of solar energy facilities. And whereas the same has the potential, has been placed on the can't read tonight. Whereas the same has been placed on the desk for all the members of the town board this date, together with the full environmental assessment form, part 1, as having been prepared for such public hearing on such proposed local law as necessary. Now therefore be resolved that the town board acknowledge the receipt proposed local law number 2 of the year 2018 entitled Solar Energy Local Law and accompanying full EAF Part 1. And after review of the same, the effects of such regulation, would be the town-wide and finds that such action a type 1 action, and hereby does declare itself as the lead agency in connection with the proposed local law, and having further found that no other agency is involved in the adoption of such regulations. And to be further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause the notice of public hearing on the proposed solar local law to be published in the Press Republican in accordance with town law. And to be further resolved, the public hearing to be held on October 11, 2018 at 6:05 p.m. for the purpose of hearing all persons for and against this proposed local law to be held in the town hall, town of Plattsburgh, 151 Blanford Road, Plattsburgh, New York, 12901. And to be further resolved, the town clerk is hereby directed to post, publish, and mail notice of public hearing as required adjacent municipalities, any involvement or interested agencies within Clinton County Planning Board.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for the purpose of discussion.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
Hebert. Okay.
This, just to be clear, this is just a resolution passing for the
Public hearing.
Public hearing.
That's all this is. I'm going to ask Trevor to be here on October 11th
Okay.
as well, to fully, absorb some information.
And where has this come from?
Are you here for a town board meeting? No. Court?
Yes.
Other side of the building downstairs.
No.
You can go that way.
All right.
You can go out that way.
I thought they locked the door.
He's been pulling it from different models from around the state and has, I believe, called NYSERDA and a couple other different agencies.
Okay, but it's coming out of the community development office.
Yes.
Yes, I was just gonna help you clarify that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Because he's been working, you and Tom have talked about that in your
Mhm.
committee.
Yeah, and again, the public hearing will be important, but I think one of the things we're looking at is the best interest, but on a small, medium, and large level. That was one of the questions I posed.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I read the law, and it seems to cover that
To cover it.
with the tier
With
1,
the
2,
tiers,
3, yeah.
It's really the tier 3 that's addressing
That
where
is the biggest concern.
Mhm.
I'm gonna reach out to Trevor, because I had a couple of questions with the tier 2.
Okay, good, Chuck, thanks. Yeah,
They're
I'm gonna
looking for
review everything again,
footprint,
so.
et cetera, the size, and I had a couple of questions with the tier 3 too,
Okay,
just, are we gonna have a running list of,
Mhm.
because part of it was like 1% of the gross total of the project to be used for the public interest, so.
Okay.
Okay. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So it does pass. All right, we have for draft consideration, no further action, but we will be posting, make sure I have this, the minutes. We have setting for public hearings for elected officials. This is something that occurs each year. North Country, Life Flight, just for clarity, this is not Honor Flight.
Right, yeah.
This is part of the services to get individuals needing ear medical services. This next one is an infrastructure at the Old County Airport. I'll just go into it a little bit further detail. This report was issued back in 2016, but as you can see through the timeline, the town has been working on and off with the county and TDC to identify opportunities to further develop some infrastructure out at the county airport for economic development. Worried about landlocking parcels for one thing. So I would encourage folks to take a look at this, talk with Mr. Zerlo and the TDC. But in short, the infrastructure that would be developed out there would eventually become the town of Plattsburgh's responsibility in some form or fashion in conveyance. This really is, I think, a remarkable public-private partnership that we've finally gotten to, having identified it in our, economic development strategic plan going back as far as 2013, getting the CFA funding for it, bringing them in with that partnership, and now an opportunity to build that out. That, to me, I think is one of the places that you're likely to see significant, there will be development there, but I'm talking significant development occurring over the next couple of years with everything that's been going on in the town. So,
Well, it's a natural fit, the growth in that area.
it's also adjacent to the industrial park. I mean, there's a natural extension there. There is, Debbie, did you get the 3% site plan? Did you get the extra one?
Did you just get that, or you're right?
Yeah,
The
okay.
Schluter
I just wanna
one?
make sure you had it.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, 3% site plan, return deposit for Schluter. That's all that I have there. I would like, I would seek a motion to go into an executive session though, to discuss, certiorari, on the following items: Walmart/Sam's, Champlain Center Mall, LQ Properties, Key Bank, and personnel, of 3 specific individuals.
May I add, one word in personnel, so that's
4.
4.
Yep. Okay. You make, or you make the main motion then?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second that?
Hebert, time would be 6:20. Can I get a roll call?
Meg LaFave,
Yes.
Barb Hebert,
Yes.
Charles Costick,
Yes.
Mike Cash.
All right, we'll go into executive session. Thanks, folks. No action to be
No
taken.
action.
6:20. Do you need anything signed for your class or anything?
Very, very fun.
Feel free to talk to me about it, if you have any questions, and reach out to the office and figure out who we are, and we're glad to help you out.
Was it everything you expected? So much.
That was a nice thing that you did
I'll be
last
back
night.
next week.
Oh, did you see us go by?
Did you?
Yeah,
Thank you for being
yeah.
so good.
I had to hustle, I was down in Clifton Park, I had to hustle to get back, but I'm in
Well, they got, there's about 10 videos of it,
Oh, was it?
on Facebook and all over the internet.
He was he's a good man. I worked a ton with him, with the county firefighters. He was president after I won. so.
Thank you. You were
Yeah, man, he was one of the founding members of KB.
Yep.
He was there.
When he was up there, yeah.
The front house now. We've got union contract negotiation, which just has a little bit more formula. So we're talking about,
Yep.
let's see, our
Great-
finance
great
team,
guy.
our planner, our
Yep.
recreation.
Anybody,
Really.
your secretary.
That was,
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
anybody who
probably
has
one of the
a
best
independent
showings I've
contract
ever
outside
seen.
of the
yeah,
union.
yeah. No, our non-union employees.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem.